Hey, welcome back to the vlog. Well, we're going to do another session over here at the Orleans. Still only 4 poker rooms open as of this session that we're going over. Since then, the Bellagio has opened up their card room, so it gives us another option there. And I guess they're going more than 5-handed since they have dividers at the table. So we'll check that out here maybe in a future vlog. But for now, we're going to continue to play over here at the Orleans. The 5-handed is interesting. You do get the opportunity to play a lot more hands. Unfortunately, there's a lot of folding as well. So $7 to $9 has kind of been the go-to raise. You're getting a lot of folds, so you're winning a lot of small pots. So you're gonna have to win a lot of pots, especially in the 1-3 game with the rake. So you're gonna have to really open up your range quite a bit, and maybe do some things you wouldn't normally do on a full ring game. So that's been a little bit of adjustment here, and knowing when to go in and just really play in position regardless of what the holdings may be. So changing up just enough, hopefully, to get some profit going. Please go ahead and hit that like button right now. I really appreciate it. Helps the channel out a ton. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, just thanks for all your patronage so far. The channel is really starting to grow, and we're getting a little more regular vlogs in, so that does help. All right, well, this first hand here, we look down at ace-9 of clubs.
Our very first button of the day, we have a limper to us, and we're going to go ahead and raise up here, $10. Small blind folds, the big blind makes the call, and the limper makes the call. So we now have $30 in the middle there, and we are on our way to a flop that comes out ace-10-10. Both the big blind and the limper check. I go ahead and check behind here. It is possible the big blind could be trapping. There hasn't been a whole lot of action this early in the game, so I'm not really sure where to put them. So we just want to go ahead, a little pot control, and see a turn. The turn comes out a 7, and the big blind bets right out $20 into the $30 pot. The limper folds, and we go ahead and make the quick call here. He could be betting this with a heart draw possibly, or even just an ace with a weaker kicker, and decides just maybe he could take the pot down there. So we just make the call. The turn is a 4. Big blind checks once again. At this point, I think we're probably good. Any kind of bet's just going to get called by better or possibly a chop pot here. So I'm really going to gain nothing from a bet. So we just go ahead and check it back. And plus, since we are early into this game, more likely we get to see his hand unless he mucks. And he shows ace-7. I do like my check on the flop there, as I think it induces the turn bet, and we get an extra $20 in the pot. Win our first hand of the day, and we got a good start going. All right, this next hand, we're under the gun, and we look down at a 5-6 offsuit, and we decided to go ahead and open up to $8. Now, this isn't typically the kind of hand I'm going to open up under the gun with, but there's been a lot of folding to raises of $7 and $8 and just stealing the blinds. If we do get called, if we do hit the flop hard, we'll get paid off, as our hand is probably very under-repped. We do get called by the big blind, and the flop comes out 5-3-3. Probably the best flop I could hope for at this point in time. Small blind checks, and we put out a continuation bet of $10. Small blind thinks momentarily before making the call. In my mind, I put him on some type of ace-deuce, ace-4 suited type of hand, making the call here, hoping to see something on the turn. And the turn comes out a 9 of spades. And the small blind bets out $5. Very strange bet. I mean, ultra thin value bet here. I make a quick call, just as there's over 40 in the pot, $5. I really don't put up any kind of 9 here, as he made the call after the flop. So I still think about the ace-low kicker, but in spades. The river's another 9. And the small blind bets out $25. So sticking with my original thoughts of ace-deuce, ace-4, he's missed his straight, he's missed his flush. I really don't think he has ace-3 here, because the $5 bet on the turn is unusual. Since I raise pre-flop and continuation bet, I'm more likely going to be aggressive and bet the turn again. He'd actually be losing value, get me away from betting 20 to 30 bucks on the turn. So I go ahead and make the call. I was absolutely correct. He does not have ace-3. He does have 2 small cards, pocket 3s, for flopped quads. I do my best to argue that he just has 2 pair, 3s and 3s, and my 5s and 9s beats him to no avail. I pull out my handy dandy hand ranking sheet out of my pocket, take a look, and yeah, 4 of a kind beats 2 pair. He gets the chips. Nice hand. This is This next hand, we're under the gun, and we look down at Queen 9 of clubs. We're going to go ahead and open up, a little better hand to open up with, $8. And it folds around to the small blind, who goes ahead and makes the call. Big blind folds. We're off to a flop of Queen 9-3, pretty good flop. Small blind checks, we're in continuation bet as we've been doing all along, and we put a $10 out there. Small blind check raises us to $45, he's all in. We quickly make the call. Safe run out, we show our 2 pair. Big blind checks back at his hand and flips over a queen amongst his hand. And we take down a good sized pot. Okay, the next hand, we're on the cutoff. Look down the ace-7 offsuit. We're going to open it up the pot, make it $8. Going to fold around to the small blind that makes the call, and the big blind will fold. Flop comes out, King 10-8 rainbow. Small blind makes a check, so I check behind, and the turn comes a 4. Big blind bets out $10. I don't feel he has a king here. I think he would have bet the flop if he did. Probably paired his 10 or 8, figures he's good, and going to try to take the pot down. I just make the call, as I feel my range can represent both the straight and the flush draw, which will give me 15 out for me to bet on the river. The river is the perfect card of 9 of hearts. It completes both the straight draw and the flush draw. Big blind makes a check, and we go ahead and put a bet out there at $20. Big blind folds, and we take down that one, ace high. $9. What? Thank you. You're the big one. Right. Next hand, we're under the gun, and we look down at, yes, pocket aces. Here we go. We're going to build a pot up this time. $8 we raise. Let's see if we can get a caller. Folds all the way around to the big blind, and all right, he makes the call. And the flop comes out Queen 10-5. Big blind checks. We go ahead and continuation bet. We put $10 out there. Big blind comes along, makes the call. Turn is a 7. Big blind checks once again, and we put out $20. About a half pot bet here, and in hindsight, I would have liked to make this bet just a little bit bigger. I'm assuming he's paired probably the queen here, or he may even have some kind of a straight draw or flush draw. I'll give him a really good price to come along and see the river. That being said, $20 is the bet, and he makes the call. And we go off to a river of a 6. And this time, the big blind bets out for $55. So trying to think of a range of hands that he's going to take this line of action with. 8-9 of clubs, but I think if he would have turned it open into straight, he would have bet out on the turn, or at least raised me on the turn. A set of 5s, maybe, but again, I think on the turn he'd want to protect his 5s with straight draw and flush draw out there. So he could have just paired his queen, thinking I had ace-king all along, play it big here in the end, knowing I can't call, but then it dawns on me, 2 pair. And I think my frustration has got to me, so I got a little stubborn, and I went ahead and made the call. And he turns over Queen 6. Again, a larger bet on the turn, I believe, would have changed the whole scope of this hand and made it a little harder for him to continue there.
All right, by my count, that's pocket aces 3 times in just a little over a 3-hour session. My last 2 vlogs combined, about 7 hours of play, didn't have pocket aces 1 time. 3 times. And I won 2 out of 3 pots for a total profit of... That's not a profit. Is that right? Damn. Just goes to show, if you're sitting waiting for aces, you're not going to make any money.
Okay, this next hand, we're under the gun, and we look down at ace-10 of spades. We're going to raise it up, and we make it $8 to go. The cutoff for the first time all day makes a 3 bet. but only to $16. So he makes a min raise, and he only leaves himself about $60, $70 behind. It folds all the way around to me. He's only doing this with aces, kings, ace, king, and possibly queens here. He's been playing in ultra tight all day. So we just make the call, since we're halfway there, and we're off to a flop of 3 jack 8 with 2 spades. Not a bad flop, but I'm going to go ahead and check it over to him. I decided against leading out betting here, because if he does just have ace, king, and I bet, I'm probably going to scare him away. So we'll go ahead and see if he wants a continuation bet. So I check, and he obliges by betting $20. So we just make the call, and again, he has probably about $40 behind at this point. The turn is a 7 of spades, pretty decent turn. I go ahead and make a check to him, let him continue being aggressive, but unfortunately he checks back. Now the turn is not great, it's a king of spades, so I'm probably going to lose any action of trying to get the remainder of his chips into the pot, unless he's holding pocket kings, and he gets a little stubborn with a set. So I grab chips, slid it out there, thinking I had enough to cover him, but I only put 35 out there. He raises all in, which is only a total of 45, so I make the easy call, and we turn over our ace 10 right away. He looks and says, oh good, and shows his hand, ace king. So at first glance, he thought he paired his king on the river and made a good call, beat me with just ace 10, until the dealer gives the bad news that I have a flush. That was the biggest pot of the day for us, and coming on the heels of the pocket aces hand just a few minutes ago was a nice little turnaround. Well booked. The last hand we're going to go over, and we look down at pocket sevens. We get a limper, the button limps as well, small blind folds, and we go ahead and make a raise here, up to $12. Both limpers make the call, and we're off to a flop of 3 queen 8. Hard to put either opponent on any specific range of hands since they both limp called pre-flop. So I just go ahead and check here multi-way and out of position. Under the gun checks, and the big blind bets $10. I go ahead and make the call, and under the gun makes the call as well. So the turn is another queen. This is a good card because I have to assume that no one's holding a queen at this point in time. But they could have a pair of eights, they could have straight draw, flush draw. So we go ahead and check here again, multi-way. This under the gun checks as well, and the button checks this time. The river is a 6. I just check, I'm thinking we have some pretty good showdown here with the pair of 7s. Under the gun checks as well, and the button bets $30. About half pot. Now I can't beat a pair of 8s. I'm not too worried about him having a queen in his hand. Looking at this board, and I really can't see anything that makes sense for his line of betting. The biggest concern is I still have a player to act behind me. But I take a look over there, and his body language tells me he doesn't seem to be interested anymore in this hand. So I go ahead and just make the call. As predicted, under the gun folds. I don't turn my hand over right away because a lot of times I'll just turn my hand over, but I wanted to see what he had. So I waited, and he didn't muck. He turned his cards over and showed 9-6. Pocket 7s take it down. So the last couple pots of the day, pretty good sized pots. And shortly after, we go ahead and cash out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
All right, well, that wraps up this session. We had another good day, a nice little double up in about a little over 3 hours. So can't complain there. All in all, 5-handed, as you can see. Like I said, you're gonna have to just play a lot of pots, a lot of hands, and slowly but surely you can bring it in. I want to thank you for joining me. Please hit that like button. It helps the channel out a ton. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Be safe out there. We'll see you at the tables. Take care.